As you heard in Eyewitness News, in the case of missing Joshlin Smith, 6 years old, from Saldanha Bay, police on Sunday confirming that they've recovered a few items of bloody clothing on a field, which they will send for forensic testing. Police have, however, shot down reports and the rumours, particularly on social media, that a knife was also found on the scene. Joshlin Smith has been missing for the last 2 weeks now, last seen in Saldanha Bay on the evening of Monday, the 19th of February. But since then, we could not help but notice the large number of TikTok videos, the large number of Facebook Lives with amateur crime sleuths taking upon themselves to embark on some citizen crime fighting or citizen journalism. But has this gone too far? Because it has seen this proliferation of false information over the last few weeks. So much so that the mayor of Saldanha Bay, police have even called on people, please stop forwarding unverified and fake information. Like this video, Friday night, a search on a beach in Saldanha Bay. Residents in Saldanha Bay, people belonging to a search party, saying that they found footprints on the beach. There's nothing that is so familiar with a beach than footprints on a beach. Also saying that they recovered a singular pink sandal. The description of what Joshlin was wearing on the day of her disappearance was that she was wearing a blue sandal, but that didn't stop people from going live on their social media saying that they found, gosh shock, footprints on a beach. Emma Sadler is a social media expert, also the founder of the digital law company, joins me now. Of course, people are passionate about the search of missing Joshlin Smith, but what impact is this having on the broader investigation? Emma, good morning.
Good morning, Lester, and thanks for talking about this, because I think we all need a bit of a wake-up call. So I have not, I don't think, certainly not in my recent memory, seen a case which has attracted as much sort of so-called citizen journalism as this case, particularly on TikTok, which is interesting. We've seen interviews with the mother of missing Joshlin Smith. We've seen interviews with the mother's boyfriend, other sort of so-called witnesses, people who would have been the last to see her before she went missing. And it has led to an unbelievable amount of disinformation, sending police on wild goose chases. And I think we just need to remind everyone that legally this can be a very, very complicated issue, and we should be erring on the side of caution.
Yeah, contamination of crime scenes, evidence or testimonies that could be deemed inadmissible in a court of law if it's not accurately or legally obtained. There are so many issues that can come into play, with people feeling that they're doing the right thing by aiding in the search for Joshlin.
Absolutely. And for example, defeating the ends of justice, undermining the efficacy of identity parades, for example. Also in this case, and we've seen it many times, is that it can lead to vigilantism. We saw last week Joshlin's a mother being taken to a place of safety because a crowd gathered at her house. This is it's just unbelievable what is happening there. From a legal point of view, we have issues around sort of contempt of court processes. That's not as seriously considered as in, for example, a country where there is a jury system, where a jury can be heavily swayed, whereas we hope to think that a judge is not so easily swayed and will decide a case on the facts before them. But we have legislation which says that you can't identify somebody in certain cases until they've been asked to plead. For example, in a sexual assault case, God forbid this turns into a sexual assault case, even if somebody is arrested, they cannot be identified in the media or in social media until they've actually been asked to plead. In other cases, for example, in the SAPS Act, the Police Act, you can't identify a suspect until they've appeared in court. That comes on sanction of a 12-month in prison fine. There are obviously defamation issues. If somebody's posting that I'm involved because of some disinformation, I can take action from a defamation point of view. But I think that we just need to remind everyone this is incredibly risky, and just to be a bit more responsible / a lot more responsible and sensible.
Emma, barring people for commenting or talking about an active investigation on social media would obviously infringe on people's freedom of speech, but could a court preemptively say to a population or residents of a particular community, you are not allowed to continue with either going on a unsanctioned search or posting of videos or going live without evidence being verified by an official source like the South African police? There seems to be a very grey area between someone's freedom of speech to comment, provide commentary on a particular ongoing and pending case, but at the same time protecting the integrity of an investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a complicated one, but a court can't make a blanket ruling. Certainly, I think officials should be coming out and warning people. Maybe we need a few test cases around this issue. We've seen many internationally where people have been named falsely on social media as being involved in criminal cases and action being taken against them. I'm reminded even Leicester of the Lord McAlpine case. The late Lord McAlpine, who was linked to there was an investigative TV show which said that there was a senior conservative politician who was involved in child sexual abuse, but he wasn't named. And the next day on Twitter, over 10,000 people named him, and he got a legal team that was super jacked up, and they successfully sued 10,000 people for defamation. I mean, it was a very clever mechanism that if they had a certain number of followers, they have to pay £20 to a charity and apologize and delete the tweet. And then obviously that went up to the point that Sally Burka was ordered to pay £52,000 in damages for defamation. So I think some kind of a test case here would be a very welcome thing. But I think that we've got to remember that the right to freedom of speech, which you refer to, is a fundamental constitutional right, but it's not an absolute right, because my right to freedom of speech can be limited when it comes into conflict with other people's rights. Now, everybody has a right to a good name, a right to a fair trial, and where my right to freedom of speech is limited, in order for those rights to be protected, then that limitation is okay. So we've got to be practical and say, people, we're not going to stop people from talking on social media. But I think to remind people that if they get it wrong, for example, if I'm accused of being a murderer on social media, that can lead to very serious legal consequences. The right to a good name is a fundamental thing. But I think probably, Lester, even more than that, than the legal considerations, my real concern at the moment is messing with the investigation, messing with the outcome. What everybody wants is for this case to be solved, for Joshlin to be found.
Emma Sadlier Berkowitz, she's the founder of the digital law company. Really appreciate your time.